my friends. Welcome back to another episode 33. Once again, I'm kind of cooking, right? I'm checking the episodes. There was a stretch of time there where I never ever looked at the episode number before I started the episode. But now I'm new and improved. It's 2026. We're stepping up our game. We don't do that old crap where we just are unprepared. No, we're a prepared podcaster here, and thus we look at the episode number and we tell you, welcome to episode 33. You know, I don't know about for you guys, but to me this year is going by really freaking fast already. I did not fathom that we were nearing the end of February. I was like, not that long ago, I looked at the calendar and I was like, oh yeah, we have a podcast to record. It's like almost the end of February, and here we are. And yeah, I don't know, but I think it's going really crazy fast. And yeah, we're like already almost to March, and then I mean, from there it's like we're a quarter of the third, like halfway through the year in no time. Like, oh man, I don't know what to say. Maybe it goes fast for everyone, I guess. Some people said I felt like last year it was weird. Last year felt like it went fast. 2025, that is. But it felt like it went fast, but then in say November, December timeframe, I would think about things that happened in like March, and they seemed like distant memories, right? Like 8 trillion years ago, like unfathomable, that they were not, that they were like that year, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It goes fast, but then I guess also in some ways it goes slow. So who knows? But yeah, we're here. We're ready to go. And we're cruising into today's podcast episode with a topic that we talked about on stream fairly recently. How many weeks ago is that? Was that a couple weeks ago? I don't know. A few weeks ago. It was during Ori. I remember that much. I can remember the game. Don't ask me to remember how long ago it was, but I definitely remember it was on Ori. And we were talking about, just like that feeling that like you didn't accomplish enough that year, and that, you're a failure because you didn't do enough, or whatever it may be. You set yourself lofty goals, and maybe you didn't meet them perfectly, and thus your year was written off. It's a failure, and you're just done, and that's bad, blah blah blah. So we talked about it a lot, and we already, like I said, we already did talk about it a lot on stream. But there's a lot to say about that kind of thought process, and just the idea of that sometimes you did accomplish something just by pressing on and getting through those bad times, because everyone goes through bad times, right? Sometimes surviving those, like let's think about it like this, okay? Let's say, we're gonna give a little real life analogy, all right? Let's say you're like in a freaking plane crash. We're gonna go real hardcore. You're in a plane crash, right? And it crashes down on an island, right? And you're stuck there for like 6 months, and you finally you find a way to survive, and then eventually you get rescued, and now you can go back home, whatever, blah blah blah, right? Would you say how would you I mean, I don't know, maybe some people would say that oh, I'm a failure, I guess, because I didn't accomplish anything. But I feel like most people, on the other hand, would say wow, I did a really good job surviving that really hard thing, that really bad encounter. I could have possibly died, right? And so I try to encourage people to think more like that. When you have bad times, sometimes you do have to be in survival mode. And there's nothing wrong with saying, damn, this year was hard on me emotionally because of these things. Like maybe you went through a breakup, or maybe a loved one died, or you lost a pet, or you got laid off your job, or you got fired, whatever it may be. There's a trillion different things, obviously, that could go bad in your life. Unfortunately, I wish there wasn't, but there is. And so it's okay to say that you accomplished something by surviving, right? Let's say you were out of work for 6 months of the year, right? And that sucks. and and you're like barely getting by money wise, like you don't have much money and you're struggling, right? I mean, I think it's kind of silly to not phrase that as like an accomplishment, right? Saying that you got through that, right? Well, I didn't do a whole lot that year. I applied for a lot of jobs and I didn't, it took a long time to find anything. The job market is crappy right now. I think everyone knows that. And so yeah, like I survived, like I found a new job eventually, or even if you didn't find a new job, like I survived. I'm not homeless, thankfully. I I kept pushing on and, found a way to scrape by and, get by on what I could and just do okay. Like, and I think anything above that is a win. Like, I had all that going on, but I still managed to like go on a trip with friends or, I managed to whatever it may be, whatever positive things, I didn't have a job during this time frame, but I did get to stream more and grow my channel in that regard, so we took something good about it. So I mean, really, it's just take something good out of it. And I mean, sometimes you might not even have much good to take, but the good can just be I survived this hellish year, right? That many people would not be so strong to survive, right? And you need to think about it from a perspective like that. Like you did accomplish something by making it through those challenging times, and not everyone can do that. Not everyone has the willpower to make it through when times get tough. That's the kind of thing that makes you stronger and more you're more experienced with dealing with difficult times, right? Because if you don't ever know how to deal with a difficult time, then when you have a difficult time, then it's going to be extra difficult. It's like if you have a job where you're always like busy and stressed, then you're used to that, right? By the time you have another job where it's very busy and stressful, hey, at least that's not a good thing, but at least you know how to deal with it, right? So whatever you can take out of it, those are just some examples, but a year is not, and that's the other thing too, right? People often break things up into a binary like amount of time, like a year, right? Or something like that. When in reality, I mean, a year is just, we just have our calendar, but it doesn't really mean a whole lot, right? Like you could have a great month or a terrible month. You could have a great year or a terrible year. You could have, it's just a finite amount, right? So it's not like, the end all be all. Oh, it's December 31st and I didn't accomplish enough, right? Like, oh, I'm a failure because the calendar says it's December and I haven't accomplished everything I wanted. Well, I guess I suck. Not true. And it's just, yeah, it's, I guess it all comes down to, at the end of the day, like many things, it comes down to being kinder to yourself and being able to take something out, because virtually everyone is going to be able to, I mean, if you're here, at least the very least you can say you survived, right? So you automatically, that's a freebie. You have one automatic thing. But I would say most of the time, I mean, if we're being honest with ourselves, there's always something else you can take out of it too. Whether that be, like I said, yeah, I had some more time to work on this thing. Or even like, thank God I'm not laid off, but like a positive I can assure you would come out of if I did get laid off and was without a job for a while. My positive would be, wow, I finally had some time to relax, because I haven't had that in 13 and a half years. So like that would be my thing I would take out of that. So even if it's just, life was really hectic for a long time and I got to just kind of chill, take it easy, slow down a little bit for a bit, because life is hectic. And I don't think it should be a bad thing to say, I took some time for myself to relax. And, during this time, it's not like you did it because, like, it's not like you chose, in this scenario that I'm using, it's not like you chose like to lose your job or whatever. It's just made the most of the situation I was given and took some time for myself. And that's something I survived. I was in a bad breakup. Just as an example, this is like another example of something that someone might go through in a year. I was in a bad breakup and I didn't accomplish much, but I did survive and I did get to grow. You grew your bonds with some friends. You got to spend more time with friends, or maybe you just spent more time with yourself. And it's important, obviously, to love yourself. So maybe your thing that you took out of it is, I got to spend a lot more time with myself and kind of in solitude, and whatever came out of that, maybe I just learned to appreciate myself more, or maybe I practiced some skills that are more like solid. I don't know if the solitary skills is the right word or the right way to say it, but like, let's say I practiced writing, I did some writing, or I did some music, or I did things that are more, like something you're not doing with someone else. They're more just you. And so, I mean, you can take something like that. Um, there's always something, and it does take. And I say always, I mean, maybe there's a situation where there's not, but I would say pretty much always, if you give it some thought and you actually try to see the positives of a situation, that there's probably something you can take out of that and say, you know what, I did accomplish this. And again, people are going to be hard on themselves, and they're going to go, well, the only thing I accomplished was spending more time with friends, or getting to relax more, blah, blah, blah. Other people climb Mount Everest and shit. And I mean, that's the slippery slope of comparing yourself to others, right? When there's other people who would probably look at you and say, wow, they really accomplished a lot compared to me. There's always a bright side. The grass is always greener, as they say. For those of you who don't know that phrase, maybe that are from non-native speaking, the non-native English speaking countries, the phrase comes from like the phrase. It's like a part of the phrase, like the grass is always greener on the other side. Like you're looking across the way at someone else, and their situation seems better than yours. But we're all just going through different things, and we all handle things differently, and there's always some kind of good that you can take out of that. And so, I think a lot of people who say, oh, I had a terrible year, I didn't accomplish anything, probably could stand to just take a step back and say, I did accomplish some things. Maybe not as much as you wanted, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with striving for more. I'm someone who always sets lofty expectations for myself too, and it can feel disappointing when you don't quite meet those. But it's okay to say, I didn't have the best year, but I did accomplish it. And I think that would be the better way to look at it, or even the best few months, or whatever time period you want to analyze. It's like, maybe I didn't have the best year, but I did do these things pretty well, and I improved in these areas, or I feel a little more confident in these areas, or even just I got to enjoy these things. Hey, I went to a con that I always wanted to go to. I got to meet people that I'd never got to meet in person before and always wanted to. I got to spend more time with friends, whatever it may be. Again, it doesn't have to be like I climbed Mount Everest and I saved 8,000 orphan kittens from a burning building or something. That sounds kind of sick, though. That sounds kind of cool, though. I mean, I've never done that either, unfortunately. And I think a lot of people would say that I'm a fairly successful person, I hope. I mean, I don't know. Maybe they wouldn't. But, I think people would say that. Some people would say that probably. And I certainly haven't accomplished anything major like that, but I try to be a positive influence to the people that I am around. That's the goal of mine, and I think that's a good goal. I mean, that's accomplishing something. Hey, I got to spend time with friends, and I always made and I guess, again, this is going to come down to people who are going to say, oh, I don't think I bring anything good to people. Well, you probably do, first off, but I mean, that's still a win, saying, I got to spend more time with friends, and they always seemed happy when I was around. And so I brought some good energy to their lives. Like, there's definitely people in my life who think they accomplish nothing, and I could say, that's not true. You brought a lot of good vibes to my life, and so you automatically bettered one life. So that's, and obviously I'm just one person, but there's probably, if they brighten my life, they probably brightened a lot of other people's lives too, right? So it's just really about perspective and taking those wins, giving yourself credit for the wins. It's not egotistical to say, I did some good things and here's what they are. Maybe not the best, maybe not everything I wanted to do, but I did some good. And that's an opportunity. If you don't think you did enough good, start somewhere simple. Like, hey, I want to be a good influence on my friends. I want to support my friends. I want to cheer them on. I just want to be a more supportive person in general. That's something I always look to, right? Is when I'm kind of feeling maybe unfulfilled or like like I'm not accomplishing much of the time. I think of areas where I can make a little difference, like just checking on someone or just seeing how they're doing or just wishing them well for something big they have coming up, like maybe like a test or like a big something at work or whatever it may be, right? Like I think it's very important to start at those places and not to set your goals like that you need to cure cancer or something. Like if you accomplish that, that's freaking awesome. But it's good to set realistic goals for yourself too, and things that you can actually do in your everyday life. It doesn't take that much effort, even if you're feeling unmotivated, even if you're feeling tired, even if you yourself are overwhelmed. Like I'm a pretty overwhelmed guy. I have a lot going on in my life. But it takes very little effort to say like, hey, I know you've been working long hours lately. Like, how are you doing? To a close friend, or to say, hey, I know you have this crappy shift coming up, or this like meeting, or this test, whatever it may be that you're kind of dreading. I just wanted to say good luck, and I'm thinking of you, etc. Little things like that, things that are attainable. And if you want to give yourself goals, again, like the big ones, like a freaking cure cancer, well, cool, that's great. But you don't have to be doing that all the time, and I don't think anyone is doing that all the time. And if they're portraying themselves as though they are like doing that stuff like all the time, it's probably not true. It's probably just you looking at social media and seeing someone post the best moments of their life. Because I promise you, my life is pretty mundane most of the time, but I could probably make my social media look like I'm freaking doing a lot of cool stuff all the time. It's really not that hard to do, so I would say, yeah, just start with things that you can achieve, and give yourself attainable goals and work your way up from there. But then, if you do give yourself attainable goals, and and a good example is, many people are introverted, and like to say like, oh, you should not be introverted anymore, you should go make like 1 trillion more friends and talk to everyone in the world, that doesn't seem very attainable, right? But to say like, oh, I'll try to like maybe like every once in a while, or maybe like at least a couple times this year I went out of my comfort zone and talked to someone that I normally wouldn't, for example, that's a good attainable goal. That's something you can attain to. I think like anyone could probably, get the balls to do it at least once or twice, maybe not like all the time, and maybe you are who you are, but step outside your comfort zone, try something new if that's a goal you have, to meet more people, for example, or to stream. Hey, just push the go live button, and maybe it's not going to be a banger stream. Maybe you'll say, I didn't really like that, but at least you tried, right? At least you can say I accomplished something. Hey, I went live, and it's more than a lot of people can say. So give yourself something that you can do, start attainable, and then you'll always have something, right? You'll be able to say you met your goals. So I think that's a big thing, that people set their goals a little bit too lofty. I'm not much of a goal setter, right? When it comes to like each year, a lot of people like to have specific goals, but I don't. I'm a firm believer in the phrase, under promise, over deliver. That's the motto I use at work all the time, and it's a motto in life. Don't promise yourself I'm gonna do a ton of things that, let's be honest, they're pretty dang difficult, and you're probably not gonna do. Start with some stuff that you know you'll accomplish, and then, hey, I didn't check everything off my list, but I did check off these things that, maybe they were the more quote-unquote simple things, but at least you have some stuff checked off your list. Because I can imagine that if you made a long list of goals and they were all really difficult and you didn't accomplish any of them, I could see how that could feel bad, right? But, I guess that's the importance of giving yourself goals that are realistic, and you should be realistic with yourself. And that's not to say like, oh, you're shit, you can't do this. But I think a lot of people set goals that most people couldn't. Like if you told me to go talk to like 100 new people this year, even I probably wouldn't do that, and I'm extroverted, so like that seems like a lot of effort, right, for someone who struggles with talking to new people, right, or is more introverted. So you need to set yourself some realistic goals, and you need to understand what you could do. And hey, again, if let's say you set your goal, I want to talk to one new person this year and like become friends with them, right, or something like that, and then you over deliver, right, and then say you meet 3 new people, which, you know, if you set your goal at like meeting 10 new people and you only met 3, well, that's an epic fail, right? But if you set your goal at 1 and you met 3, wow, I really did pretty dang good. Like, I met quite a few new people. That's pretty awesome. Right? Perspective. Perspective, perspective, perspective. Giving yourself achievable goals and not feeling like you need to compare yourself to others. Because again, when you go on Twitter, right? And I see this crap all the time. You go on Twitter and everyone's like, all right, my New Year's resolutions, cure cancer, get 7 new fursuits, go to 18 cons, get a new job paying a minimum of $350,000, you know, like, get married, like, let's just say like 15 things that are like all pretty dang hard to your average person. I mean, it's easy to go like, oh, they're doing all that and I barely met like 2 new people. I'm a freaking failure. But again, it's about not comparing yourself to others and just comparing yourself to you, right? Last year, I didn't really, like, I'm not saying this is me, but like, I'm just going to use an example. Like, hey, last year, I didn't really make any new friends. I mostly just hung out with the people I know. But this year, I made like 2 to 3, like, really solid, good friendships, right? That I got really close to because I kind of got the courage to reach out to people. That is an achievement. That is an attainable goal. Now, again, if you're comparing yourself to the super extrovert who met 27 new people and became close friends with them, well, you're going to say like, oh, I'm ass compared to that. But compared to yourself, going from 0 to 2 is a good improvement. Who knows? Maybe that person who made 27 new friends this year made like 100 last year and they actually consider themselves a failure. Like, wow. So you can't always just assume because to you, like, you know, that seems like really good. It's not always so black and white. So that's why I caution you to not worry too much about what others are doing, even though I know it's in your face and people post all their resolutions online and I have these goals and then they post about their wins. Again, it's kind of a cliche thing and like everyone, I'm pretty sure most people already know this and something that's talked about a lot. But remember, social media, people can just share what they want to share. It doesn't have to be actually accurate, right? You know, I could go and post a picture that I found on Google and say like, went to Hawaii for the 19th time this year. I'm so cool and awesome and I'm accomplishing things. And really, I'm sitting in my freaking mom's basement the whole time. So, you know, I'm just saying, again, it is a cliche, and I know everyone's heard this before, but try not to compare yourself to others and try not to let what others are doing on social media as an example, like, you know, on social media. Maybe you're looking at other places as well, but you don't need to compare yourself to them because you can be the best you, and that's really, again, that's all you can do. You can't be the best them, you know? You don't need to be a vaRAIety. Be a really good whoever you are, you know? And I think that's really the moral of it, is just give yourself realistic goals. Don't worry about what others doing. And yeah, be proud of yourself for accomplishing things. Even if they seem, you know, kind of underwhelming to you, I'll bet you, even if for you it's like, man, I only met like, you know, made friends with 2 new people this year, blah, 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 and that was kind of lame. Someone's looking at yours and they're going like, holy crap, they made 2 to 3 like new friends just by having the courage to reach out. That's so brave. Like, I could never do that. There are definitely people thinking that exact thing. And just like you're thinking the person who met 27 new people, you could never do that. There's always someone above you in quote unquote and someone below you, someone that looks up to you and someone that you maybe look up to. And I guess there's a difference between looking up to in a healthy way, right? Like, you can say like, man, I really admire that vaRAIety reaches out to people and tries to make their lives better. But you also don't have to be that, right? You don't have to do that exact thing, for example, just because it's something you look up to. I admire people who are really good at music, right? Just as one example, or someone who's really good at art. I admire that. But do I think like, man, I'm just going to go out and be the best at all that stuff right away? No, I mean, absolutely not, right? It's okay to look up to it and admire it, but you don't need to compare yourself and be like, look at this person, they freaking became a masterful artist, and here I am, not even doing anything. Sigh. I started trying to draw and my art doesn't look nearly as good. Well, there's someone who's looking at your quote unquote starting art and saying, wow, I wish I could do that. I can't tell you how many people have, artists or musicians, whoever, have told me like, oh man, my thing sucks. And I'm like, brother, if I could sing that well, or if I could draw that well, if I could play an instrument that well, I would be in heaven personally. So like, sure, compared to like the freaking God who is like a master at art or a master at music, sure, compared to them, maybe, you have a long way to go, but like, there's still going to be people who think it's incredible that you can even do what you're doing, So it's healthy to look up to people, but you don't have to do it in a way that brings yourself down, right? There's a healthy way of looking at it and saying, I wish I could be good at music, but I am good at these other things, right? Or I wish I could be good at art, but I tried it and it wasn't my thing so much, but I am good at these other things. And everyone has things that they're good at. I don't care who you are. I will say that one boldly. Everyone has something that they're good at. And, the chances are that someone out there, that thing you're good at, someone out there is like, dang, that would be so cool if I was good at that. Because, yeah, I mean, everyone has their specialties, right? No one's good at everything. No one's bad at everything. And again, I think it comes back to the grass is always greener. You might, I'm good at making music, but I wish I could be good at art. Well, maybe the artist says, dang, I'm good at art, but I really wish I could sing as well as that person, for example, or something like that. So again, perspective, appreciating what you're good at, appreciating the goals you accomplish, and just, trying to be not as hard on yourself. I know everyone's motto in life is like, how mean can I be to myself? Well, don't do that. It's bad. Okay. I'm saying it right here, right now. It's bad. Don't do that. That's not very nice to yourself. Treat yourself like you would want to treat others. It's funny. Isn't it funny? Like the nicest person who would never ever say something bad to another person is the kind of person that would absolutely roast themselves. You're like, damn, if you talk to me the way that you talk to yourself, I would be freaking offended. You know what I mean? Like, damn, that's crazy. If you were as mean to me as you are to yourself, I would hate your ass, So, I don't know. It's the classic. I always say, like, don't be mean to my friend. Like, if someone's being mean to themselves, I say, like, don't be mean to my friend blank, because they're being mean to that person that I care about, right? And so, I don't know. Try to take a step back. Appreciate those things you're good at. Set goals, but set realistic goals. You don't have to solve world hunger or cure cancer or be Mr. Beast or something, Like, you could say, I want to start a YouTube channel and post videos. I didn't really accomplish that much last year, right? But I wanted to post a video every day, and most of the videos didn't get that many views. But I did my accomplishment, right? And if I would have set a goal where, like, every video needed to get 10,000 views or something, I would have effing failed miserably. But I set a realistic goal. I said, can I, myself, upload a YouTube video every day? I think I can. And I did it. And it was cool. And sure, I didn't really gain anything necessarily, like, monetarily or, like, fame-wise or anything like that. But I set a goal that I wanted to try to do, and I did it. And it felt good because I did it. And so that's why I encourage you to set goals like that you can complete, even if they seem mundane or easy. It didn't feel all that hard to me. I mean, I just uploaded a video. I didn't have any requirements of what they were or like that they had to perform a certain way. I was just like, yo, do a video. And yeah, it felt good to accomplish that. And yeah, I want you guys to have that accomplished feeling too, because it feels nice when you accomplish something, right? It's good. And then you have more of a reason, maybe you can convince yourself, even if you're really mean to yourself, maybe you can convince yourself that, hey, I'm not so bad. I did accomplish some things. And that's more than anything, that's what I want to see, is that you can say, I did get something out of this year. Wasn't perfect, but I accomplished some things, Last year was kind of my bounce back year for me, right? Because my 2024 was not good. My 2025, did I accomplish a ton? I don't know. Not so sure about that. but I met all my deadlines for podcast episodes, for my YouTube videos that I aspire to do every year. I made all my streams. So you know what? Sure, I didn't like solve world hunger or become the new Mr. Beast or Ninja or something, but did I do pretty darn good for myself, like in the best way I could? Yeah, I think I did. And so that's something that I can say, you know, I did something. I did accomplish some things. And again, you might say, I might say, well, dang, I could have been Mr. Beast, but someone else would go, wow, you streamed like every Tuesday and Thursday as is your goal. You like uploaded YouTube videos every day. Like you uploaded a podcast all the time. Like that's a really great accomplishment. Someone else would be really impressed with me. I have no doubt about that. Even if I myself might say, you know, I did okay, I guess, but not all that great. Again, perspective, the grass is always greener. Someone out there thinks that I accomplished a whole lot more than even I think. And I think that's pretty cool. You can inspire others. And maybe it'll inspire someone else to say, you know, I want to also upload a YouTube video every day, or I want to start a podcast, or I want to do this or that. I think that's really cool. And you can inspire others just by doing relatively simple things, you know, that are, you know, like, again, I bring it back to the example of like reaching out to your friends more and just checking on them and being that comforting someone that they can feel some comfort, you know, reaching out to, etc. Be that person, and accomplish what you can. And I think that you'll find that it's very rewarding to complete goals. Again, even if they're not everything you want them to be, they're still gonna feel good when you complete them, and you're gonna be able to say, wow, I completed this thing. I put this as my goal and I met it. And there's nothing wrong with saying that I'm not going to solve world hunger, but I am going to make sure my friends are taken care of and they know that I'm thinking of them when they're going through hard times, etc. Things like that. Anyone can do that, and I believe that you can do that too. So the second part of the podcast today is going to focus more on a topic that's kind of related to, you know, not being so hard on yourself, setting goals, etc., like we talked about in the first half. The second half, though, is more about basically just not worrying about things that you can't control, things that are outside of your, things that you really don't have any influence on, and things that are just, whether it be something that's bad luck that happens to you, or whether it be something that is going on around you, and maybe you're trying to play a part in something that you realistically can't expect yourself to be able to, if that makes any sense at all. It's just the idea of not stressing yourself out about things that happen, you know, in life. And, you know, we can use, there's many different examples, but I mean, right now, there's stuff going on in my life with my house that people know about, where my water heater burst and caused damage to my house and blah, 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 and all this stuff. But, like, and I'm not trying to make it sound like, it's just the easiest thing, right? You just shouldn't worry about anything that you can't control, because I know it's not that easy just to pretend that, oh yeah, I don't care that that bad shit's happening to me because I can't control it. You know, it's still bad shit that's happening to you, right? So it's not fun. But you spend a lot of mental energy worrying about things when realistically you can say, you know, it's okay. That's not my fault. I didn't do anything wrong. It's something shitty that happened to me. Yes. But let's figure out how to solve it, you know? How we can move forward from there, and not let yourself be consumed by something that, again, you really, your worrying doesn't help at all. There are things that are valid to worry about, right? Like, obviously there are situations where, you know, like, say, I don't know, your freaking family member has cancer, has to go in for surgery or something, like, that's valid to worry about, okay? Like, even though you can't control that either, obviously, or the outcome, That's still, understandable that you're going to worry about something like that. I'm more so talking about things where, you know, the outcome is not, there's no like tragic outcome. Like in my situation, like there's not a world where like I'm homeless or like bankrupt or anything like that. Like the worst outcome is already just being inconvenienced, like having people at my house working on shit when I when I have enough going on already, right? Like that's the worst possible outcome. So what is the point of me stressing out about it more or worrying about it more or beating myself up and saying like, oh, I should have done something to make this not happen, or I should have done this better, or I'm not cut out for this, Like, that doesn't help anything at all, and it's just a situation where you just need to get through it. It's slightly annoying, but it's not the end of the world. And I think, I guess as humans, we naturally want to be in control. I think most people want to feel like they have a feeling of control over their lives and what's happening around them. That can apply to other things like what's going on around you. You see people interacting and you're worried what they think of you, right? People that, not necessarily your friends, but people you see around, and you're worrying about what they're thinking about you or how they feel about you, or do they like me? Do they think I'm annoying, etc. And I think it's just the idea, and again, it's not something that is just like, why would you worry about that? That's crazy. Like, I understand the aspect of worrying about that, or just worrying that you're out of the loop with something, like or like, all the whole thing about like, oh, is there like a secret group chat that I'm not a part of? Like my friends have like a secret group chat where like the people they really like get to go. It's like that kind of idea, right? Like, is there something that's going on around here that I'm not in the know of? Like, do these people like these other people more than me, and etc. And that energy that you spend worrying about that can just go into being a better you, being and focusing that energy on, again, people that you that value you and that like having you around. I know there's many people in my community who struggle with that kind of thing of like what do people think of me, or like I'm worried that they don't like me or whatever. But like, I think my community is a good safe space where everyone is, like the core people in our community are extremely well liked. And so you should be able to feel safe that you do have value and that you don't have to worry about it here. You know what I mean? And it's like the idea of like, it's a pretty common thing, right? Like people wanting to be liked or worrying about being liked by the people maybe that aren't giving them attention or don't want to give them attention. Like I talk about it sometimes, like my little brother was a big one of that. Like he, didn't have a ton of friends growing up, right? There were people that wanted to be his friends, but he was like more worried about like what the people that didn't like him thought, right? And so he was focusing his energy on those people who really didn't care about him or want anything to do with him, right? When he could have been focusing his energy on a lot of people, and he did, credit to him. That was like when he was in school and stuff, but after that, he really did focus and even reconnected with some of those people that maybe he didn't give enough energy to, that really did value him. And so I think it's just, you should be able to exist in a space without worry, and you should work on not worrying in the places that have no worry. Like if someone tells you, like, I know the natural inclination, right, of like, if someone tells you don't worry about it, well, I'm going to worry about it, because why would they be telling me not to worry about it if they really don't want me to? But you know what they say, sometimes don't worry about it can mean exactly that. There's nothing to worry about, and so I would say don't worry about it. And legitimately, that is the best advice you can have in a lot of situations where you might be liable to overthink things and stress yourself out. Things that are completely out of your control, that, there are many. Listen, I'm so aware that like there's a billion things, like this is a fucked up world we live in. Everyone's lives are stressful and like exhausting, etc., right? maybe not like the billionaires or something, I don't know, but like most of us normal people, our lives are stressful and exhausting, right? And we have plenty to worry about, things that we can control to some extent, right? Like maybe our jobs, or maybe our like if being our health. There's many different things, right, that we can control. um but then oftentimes we spend time worrying about things that are completely out of our control, that legitimately serve no purpose of worrying about. So why are we spending that energy there? I mean, I guess just because we're all imperfect little bastards, and we just have a tendency to do that as humans, I suppose. But it can really make a big difference on your mental health and just mental exhaustion, right? Because like, I don't know about y'all, my brain is exhausted a lot because I got a lot of things cooking up in there at any given time. So if I can focus my energy into worrying about things that matter, or things that I need to worry about, right? Versus like some kind of like gossip or something, or like, hey, I saw this random furry in a Twitch chat. I wonder if he likes me. Like, I like, to be honest, and maybe it's something that comes as you get a little older too, right? Because I mean, like, I probably worried about that a lot more when I was like 21. But like, I think you owe it to yourself, if nothing else, to not let those uncontrollable things take over your brain and cause you more anxiety. Because again, we all have so much shit. Like, I have no doubt everyone listening to this, myself included, has plenty of things to worry about and that they could feel anxious about, right? Without some stupid shit, right? So like, don't let yourself be absorbed by stupid shit that you don't need to think about, right? That it doesn't deserve brain power. Like you can, like, maybe like as a passing thought, right? Like a very quick thought, like, I wonder if what they think of me. Like, I have those thoughts, like, I wonder. But like, it's like literally a couple seconds, and then it's like, oh well, who knows? Who knows? Who cares, right? Move on with your life and don't worry about it. Sorry, I had to have a little sip of tea there. But like, yeah, that's really the key. Is, again, I don't think anyone's like, I wouldn't expect it to not like cross your mind, right? Like something like that. But the key really is just to not let it consume you and become more than it is. Because again, unless, I mean, I guess if you just got nothing else going on and that's all that matters to you, and like you don't have anything else to worry about, you got no other anxiety in life, well, lucky you, I guess, if you really want to do that. But like, I'm going to confidently say everyone here has plenty to worry about without those silly little uncontrollable things. And so you shouldn't put any more load. It's like frickin', you're carrying like 18 grocery bags from the store, from your car to the freaking house. Don't put any more load on there, okay, dude? Like, like focus on what you got. I don't know. That was a bad analogy, but you know what I mean. No need to overstress an already overworked. I mean, I'm not a I don't know I'm not a doctor. I don't know, or I don't even know what freaking profession would do this, but like, I assume like your brain is probably your most used like organ in your body, right? Like your most exerted thing. I don't know. I mean, I assume. I'm pretty darn sure. Maybe your heart, I don't know. But like, your brain is doing a lot already, right? So no need to give it more work than it already has. It's like, think of if you were like, you have a job, and then like you already are the person that works the most, and then your boss gives you more work. Like, that would freaking suck, right? And I mean, listen, I'm sure we've all been there. I've been there, and it don't feel good. So now think of that on your brain. Your brain's already exhausted. It's like barely trying to get by. And then you're giving it some dumb work too. It's not even like meaningful work. It's not even like an urgent project or something. It's just stupid shit. Like I'm going to worry about this thing I completely can't control and completely doesn't affect my life in any meaningful way. But I'm going to choose to worry about that and give more stress to my brain. And meanwhile, your brain is like, oh God, please. Like, I'm already barely, that's literally, I mean, I feel like a lot of people here are like a hair away from a mental breakdown, so don't give your brain need for that. Give it a break, because again, we're all stressed in this world. It's a stressful world we live in. Being adult is stressful. You remember when, this is like a weird tangent. Remember when we all. I mean, I assume we all felt like this to some extent. Remember when we felt like being like a kid, like in school, was stressful, and then you get to be an adult, and you're like, well, there's a lot more things to worry about now, you know? Which again, there's a lot of things to worry about. You don't need to worry about the dumb shit because you got plenty of normal things to worry about. If you like worrying, if you just love worrying, right? Like, let's just say you just really get a lot of joy out of worrying. Well, you can still focus on, I'm sure there's plenty of meaningful things for you to worry about that probably are kicking your ass in life. Like, if I wanted to worry, I could probably think of like 10 things like right this very second to worry about. But I don't feel like doing that. I'm gonna talk to you guys instead here on the podcast and not worry for a little bit. But the key is, again, it's like anything, right? Like we all have, like at your job, in school, whatever you have, right? There's priorities to things, right? And there's things that you need to focus on, and there's things that should fall to the back burner. And I think there's a lot of focus oftentimes from people worrying about things that are out of their control. Or again, I mean, it goes back to the first part too, being hard on yourself over things you can't control. Oh, I probably made an ass out of myself to this person. Or what if there's a secret that all my friends are talking about behind my back? Like things that are, number one, unlikely. And number two, I mean, what good does worrying about them do, You owe it to yourself. Again, you owe it to yourself because we're all stressed. And so give yourself that break that you need. And don't be so hard on yourself. It's easy to think like, oh, I'm just shit. And I'm worrying about all this because I think I'm shit and my friends don't really like me. They've got the secret group chat where they're talking behind my back. And then all the people I run into, they don't like me because I'm annoying and blah, blah, blah. We're all being hard on ourselves, right? Don't do that. Try not to do that anyway. I know, again, easier said than done. It's easy to just say don't do it. I try to be realistic in the sense that I know these things aren't necessarily easy, but they are things we can all work on. And I'm not trying to say I'm some perfect guy who never ever worries about dumb shit, or who never ever puts unnecessary stress on himself, or that's just perfect and everyone else is so flawed and so I got to teach you. These are lessons that I have experienced plenty in my life, and I've definitely things that I've worked on myself, and that I've understood over time because I've been in some bad places mentally, dude. I'd say as a whole, I'm probably in a pretty good place right now. I mean, there's a lot going on, so I'm mentally spent, but not mentally like depressed. Does that make sense? So yeah, it's like there is a whole lot going on up there, and I know it's the same for everyone. We've all got a lot going on, and I'm not trying to make light of anyone's situation, but I guess that's really what I just want everyone to be able to take some burden off of your brain, because we are all plenty burdened, and so it truly is. Sometimes you just don't worry about it, It's just stop. Take a breath. Go eat some food. Go have yourself a Coca-Cola, whatever you like, have yourself a little treat, a little slice of pie, a cookie. I mean, whatever you like. Have a little something. Take your mind off that dumb shit and just let yourself relax, because it's important. It really is. And I know I say that as someone who doesn't relax very good. But again, we're all flawed here. We're all trying our best. It's something I'm working to get better on. And, I think we can all work on it together, because no matter what, like, I think we all have work to do, right? We're like, none of us are perfect in any way, really. But we can all make strides together in terms of just, I don't know, achieving a better us, and achieving a higher level of just letting the world be as it will, but not stressing or beating ourselves up for things outside of our control, which is most things, sadly. Well, I don't know if it's most things. I mean, I guess it would be most things, probably, right? We can control some things. Really, we only control our own actions, though, and stuff. We can't, I wish I could just, like, Jedi mind trick people into doing what I want all the time, but unfortunately, I can really only control myself and maybe, just, use my words to try to persuade you all to listen to me, but at the end of the day, they're just words. They are just words, and, you know, even if you're the most influential good person with words, I mean, I don't know, I was thinking we're going to think of, like, Martin Luther King Jr. or something, but, like, even if you're really freaking good with words, you're not going to sway everyone. You're not going to save everyone. So focus on yourself first, and just let yourself give yourself grace. Which is the kind of the theme of this whole episode, the first part and now the second part. Give yourself some grace, and you deserve it. Like, a break from worrying is like a vacation for your mind, dude. That's freaking sick, right? Like, let yourself play some dang video games if you need to and not worry about crap. Just let yourself play mindlessly. That's what I do when I play dang video games. I don't be thinking. Well, I mean, that's just my personal preference. If you want to be thinking, you can, but, like, if you feel like your mind needs a break, just turn off your dang brain and just play the dang video game, and truly don't worry about it, because there's always going to be shit to worry about. No need to add to that list, right? It's like adding to the list of horrible things in this world. There's already so many freaking things to worry about. I don't know about you. I don't need any more. I don't want any more. If you want some of mine, I'll give you some of mine, because I got plenty to spare of things to worry about. So why add on? Why add on? And again, it sounds simple, and it sounds like I'm saying, like, I just don't have anxiety, which I get is not so simple. I wish it was, but it's something you can make gradual progress with. I don't expect you to go from worrying about everything to worrying about nothing, but if you worry a little bit less, maybe by this time next year, you'll be able to say, wow, I really made some progress. And the year after that, you'll be able to say, wow, I made some more progress. And a few years after that, you could say, I remember there was a time where I was just really anxious all the time, and now I feel pretty good most of the time. Like, I really don't worry about things that I can't control or that I shouldn't worry about, And I think that is the key to make progress. Again, give yourself realistic goals. Don't expect to freaking save the world in 5 seconds, but maybe someday you will save the world. You never know. You never know. Maybe someday you'll be Tony Stark. I just said a random person, the first person that popped into my mind. You can be Iron Man. Congratulations. He is cool, though. Robert Downey Jr. is a pretty cool guy. He likes to do drugs a lot, I think. That almost sounds like a stream quote, I would say. So maybe we can talk about Robert Downey Jr. on the stream this week. Speaking of which, the stream, we're already through February. That's insane. Got a lot of things on the horizon. The year is young, but it also feels like it's going at a record speed. Is this what it feels like every year, though? I almost feel like this is just normal, and this is how it feels every year. But I don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it feels particularly fast this year, or I could be wrong. But we got things to look forward to. We got a freaking LVFC in literally about a month. We've got freaking EF in 6 months. We've got a lot of good things coming. I need a vacation soon enough. I need a vacation. My brain needs a vacation. We all need a vacation. So give yourself a vacation. Even if you can't go on an actual vacation, give yourself a vacation from worrying, at least, That's the least you can do. The least you can do, even if your vacation is play some video games and don't stress out about stuff and frickin' have some pizza and drink a soda. That sounds like a pretty decent vacation, if you ask me. I mean, that's pretty much what I did for like a week in October last year. So, it's pretty good. Pretty good. But yeah, I think that's just the moral. That's just the moral of this week is take it easy on yourself. However you can, right? Self-care. Self-care is important. And I guess, it depends what kind of self-care you need for your mind or body. I'm going to go ahead and say most people's self-care needs are probably more mind-related, at least in the furry fandom, maybe in life in general. I'm not sure. But, so, yeah, that's like giving your mind the self-care that you need by not worrying about about something that, you know, sometimes you just have to take it at face value. If it seems like it's something you shouldn't worry about, just don't worry about it. And then that's fine, you know? It's not something you need to. That's my motto at work, right? Sometimes there's shit where I'm like, ooh, should I worry about this? And then I'm like, you know what? Not my lane, not my job. I'll spend my brain power elsewhere, thank you. Because, brain power, I don't know about y'all. Maybe all y'all Zoomers with crazy superpowered brains have, like, unlimited, like, brain power. But, like, for me, brain power is a limited resource, right? And so, like, I ain't trying to spend it on stuff that I don't need to. It's like, you got so much money. Why am I going to spend my money on, like, frickin' something stupid I don't even want? Yeah, I should spend it on something that's actually meaningful. And that's what you spend your brain power on. Spend it on something that matters to you, not worrying about stupid crap. And when you think about it like that, I mean, I don't know. It's a time limited resource, very important resource, and brain capacity, level of worrying, also a limited resource and not something I feel like you should waste. But I'm again aware that it's not something that just happens overnight, but it is something I think many of us can all work on, because shit, I've worried about things that I have no reason to really, or that I shouldn't, just because sometimes your brain just being a little tricky. It's a little trickster. It's like Fizz. I think that's Fizz's move, right? Playful trickster, where he does his little trident thing. You guys know Fizz from League of Legends? Sorry, I'm talking about League of Legends again. It's my fatal flaw. But yeah, I would say work on it. And it's something we can all work on. And hey, again, progress is still progress. And it goes back to the goal setting. Set yourself a goal. I want to improve on this area. You don't have to say I need to improve like 1,000,000,000%, just a little bit. A little less worrying, and then take it down from there. A little less worrying every year. Hey, 5-10 years from now, you might be a completely different person. I know I'm a very, very different person than I was, say, my real anxiety days were like my early 20s, right? Which was like 15 years ago now. Oof. Well, 10 to 15, depending on your perspective of early 20s. But, like, I'm definitely a way different person than I was then. And it's just for making progress over time. A little bit here, a little bit there. Doing my best, doing my thing. Some years making a lot of progress, maybe. Some years making not so much progress. But trying, right? Trying and getting improvements where I can, when I can. And not beating the hell out of myself and saying, like, wow, I'm not the perfect person. I didn't magically solve every, stupid thing my brain wants to think about. I'm horrible. But saying, I made a lot of progress last year, maybe not as much this year, but I was working at it, and every year is not going to be perfect. Every year is not going to be as much progress as the other. Some will be more than others, and that's okay. And just sometimes you just gotta look on to the next year and say, well, I'm gonna keep trying next year and see where it takes me, because clearly, if you had success in the past in improving yourself in that regard, clearly you are capable of that. So just because you didn't on this particular year doesn't mean you're incapable of ever doing it again. It just means, maybe this year wasn't your best, but come back fighting next year and see where life takes you. And that's okay. Sometimes you might even have a few bad years in a row. You might, who knows? You can't really control those things. So do your best and, push onward. Even though it's discouraging when you don't accomplish what you wanted fully, or you don't feel like you did as much as you wanted, or you don't feel like you had the successful year that you were hoping for. What do they say? If at first you don't succeed, try again. So try again, come back the next year fighting and ready to give it another shot out there, because it's like anything in life, it's not. Isn't there like a phrase that like nothing in life is easy? I mean, there might be some things in life that are easy. I don't know if I believe that phrase, but hey, it's still a good phrase. Push through, fight through, see where life takes you, and know that there's a lot of people by your side caring about you. I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone. Maybe there's some people out there who are just horrible people who no one cares about, but like I'm certain that anyone listening to this, I know for a fact there's a lot of people that care about you. So don't forget that. And I'm definitely one of them. So that's about it, my friends. We have made it through another month. We are pushed through February, and next month's podcast episode will be debuting on the day that presumably Kel and Leo will be here for LVFC. So that'll be a episode. Oh, we can all listen to it live. That's exciting. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's about it, my friends. We will be back next month, ready to rock, ready to roll. And I, as always, thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one. Well, I won't see you, but you'll see me and hear me. So yeah. Until then, bye-bye.